definitely doing the practicals, making them excited, setting the fire alarm off. Everyone's outside now because of you.
Oh, you set the fire alarm off, do you?
A couple of times we have,
Yeah.
and everyone's stood out in the cold, and you hear people moaning, saying, "Why we stood out in the cold?" And I'm thinking, kind of our problem. But this is why science labs are at the top of the school,
Yeah.
because we're most likely to cause a fire.
Yeah.
So hot air rises, so you'd rather be at the top.
So welcome back everyone to Amplified Hustle. We're excited to bring you more valuable and inspiring content. Don't forget to subscribe, like this episode. Now on today's podcast we have a school teacher and he's looking to share his journey. So let's get straight into it. Kani, Mr. Khan shall I say?
Either way it's fine.
How you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah, all good.
Thank you for coming into the podcast. I appreciate it, man.
No
Tell our
problem.
viewers what you do for a living.
So like you mentioned, obviously, teaching science, trying to inspire the youngsters of this modern era, which can be weird and wonderful at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely interesting. Yeah.
How did you go about becoming a science teacher? Talk to us about that.
How long have you got? It is a long journey. So obviously, did my A-levels at Craven College in Skipton.
Yeah.
Chemistry, biology, psychology, and then I really enjoyed psychology. So I decided I'm going to go down that route. Did psychology at uni, absolutely loved it, in University of Bradford. Every lecture you come away with some new information about humans, interaction, social interaction, etc. Really enjoyed that. And then kind of didn't know what to do after that, which is a struggle with a lot of people nowadays. Once they graduate, they don't know which direction they're going to head into. So they offered us a health psychology, a master's. Unfortunately, not enough people signed up for that, so they cancelled the course like 2 weeks before the course.
Yeah.
And then we did a bit of law.
Yeah.
So did a postgraduate diploma in law. Again, only did half of that because they were brutally honest with us. We went to an open day and they said, look, people are struggling with law degrees and you guys have come with a conversion. So dropped out of that, but stayed open-minded. I knew if I keep trying hard, something will pop up.
Definitely, yeah.
Then decided to do an electrician course from home. Open university.
Completely different, eh?
Totally, yeah. But I had a science background anyway.
Okay.
So electrician, there was a lot of physics involved. I used to go Doncaster for our workshops. Studying from home was difficult because you have to self-motivate.
Right.
When you go into a place, it's different. When you have to wake up and say, right, I'm going to do 5 hours today or 3 hours today, naturally we're quite relaxed and lazy. It's not the same. We had online modules that we completed. We used to go Doncaster to do our workshops. It was going okay, and then the company went bust. So it was one of them. Family were pressuring, saying, look, what are you doing? You're going from pillar to post. But if you're patient, if you're open-minded, if you're willing to work hard, something always comes up. Good old Linda, Asda, colleague.
Okay.
She said, I'm taking my daughter to an open day in Leeds. Why don't you come along with us? I said, okay, let's see. They might have a course or something going on. So there was a Bradford College stand. And I said, what do you guys offer? He said, what have you got? I said, I've got chemistry, biology, A-level. He said, really? I said, yeah. He said, we'll ring you. We got something for you. I said, okay. He seemed very optimistic. So they called me and they said, look, they're chucking funding at teachers, especially science teachers and maths, etc. So he said, we'll pay you for a course. And I was like, wow, where did this come from? So,
Why do you think there's not much demand in as a science teacher or as a maths teacher?
Teaching in general. So 1 in 4 teachers is leaving after 2 years because of the pressures and the stress.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So.
Yeah. So that was the time where universities' fees had tripled. So my mates didn't believe me. They said, we're going to pay triple. So how come you're talking about a course that is paying you? I said, look, my parents and everyone's praying for me, so something's going my way.
Yeah.
The stars have aligned, as they say.
Yeah.
So 2014, 15, and then into 16, did the teacher training. So yeah, long journey.
How long is the teaching training for?
So we had to do a subject knowledge enhancement course because our degree wasn't fully science. So there were aspects of psychology which involved science, like psychobiology, where you look at the synapses and neurons of the brain and stuff like that, coupled with our A-level in biology and chemistry. We did 1 year course It was a Teesside University course, but it was based in Bradford College. So a lot of universities and colleges are collaborating now.
Right.
So we did that, and then it was a 1 year teacher training where you do 2 big placements. So they don't want you to just know how to teach, i.e. the theory. You have to practically teach and plan lessons and do parents' evenings and marking and go to school trips, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, all the holidays as well.
Well, yeah, you get the holiday. They deserve the holidays. Okay,
Yeah.
don't give me
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I know we only work.
I'm sure you do as well, man.
I know we only work 195 days out of the 365, and a lot of people hate that. But when you're there and there's 35 kids in front of you, 13-year-olds, you tell me a job challenging them.
So, Mr. Khan, for those that want to be teachers, how can they start?
There's a few routes. So obviously you can either go the long way, like me. I took the wrong exit of the roundabout, or you can actually do a pure teaching degree, so primary or secondary. So you can do a primary teaching degree. Secondary, mostly they want you to do a degree in a discipline. So when we qualified as teachers, they said to us, "You are teachers now. You can actually go and teach whatever you want." I was recently looking at a role in a school in Bradford as an Urdu teacher. And I spent a lot of time in Pakistan. I studied there as well, so it's fluent. I can read, write, everything.
Yeah.
So because I have the teaching degree, I can teach anything really. But ideally, you specialize in a subject. So
What made you choose science? Were you always passionate about science?
Yeah. Dad, God bless him. When we used to go to the doctors, they used to write us a little prescription, and he used to say, "Look how easy this guy's job is." And he's getting paid a lot of money for it. So, these little simple kind of terms to inspire you, I just feel like, okay, so let's do it. Obviously, you're young at that age. A lot of, I'd say it's an Asian thing where they kind of want to refine your focus a bit to kind of what they want rather than what you want. But it's fine. That's just a cultural thing. So yeah, a doctorate, dentistry was the route. But I just loved psychology so much. I absolutely loved it. And then from A level, it did help. I had a decent teacher. I think that helps a lot in your inspiration, in your journey. And I've been blessed. I've had amazing teachers throughout here and in Pakistan. So, yeah, there are many routes. So ideally, you can do the actual teaching degree. I know friends who've done that for primary. It's like a 3-year university course.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the 1-year PGCE where they see you in school, they observe you. There's like 8 teaching standards, you have to meet them. So managing behaviour, planning lessons, marking, and your wider responsibilities, which is becoming more prevalent now. So you're not just a teacher, you're a positive role model. And if anything, recently a teacher told me, he said, "Look, I feel I want to be a positive role model first and then a teacher, because I feel that has more impact," which is true. And a lot of the students nowadays are different to our generation. Well, I don't know about your generation. I don't know what the age gap is between me and you.
Yeah.
But it is different. It is different now. We have to understand these are techno kids. We didn't have phones when we were younger, so we're dealing with a new clientele.
Yeah.
So we need to adapt. They need to adapt as well.
Yeah.
If they want to. But we definitely need to adapt our styles and our methods to make it more inspiring and more focused towards them.
Okay. Yeah, okay, Mr. Khan. I've seen your TikTok handle is there with the Doctor Who. Where did that name come from?
So it's not Doctor. So it's actually Japanese for precious stone.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So it's Doctor without the R, so it's Dr. Rahu. So a lot of people just call me Doc or Doctor. Yeah. Well, I'm not. I mean, I can be. Yeah. So they've recently offered me a PhD to become an educational psychologist, because they said couple your psychology degree with this invaluable teaching experience you're gaining. Yeah. Again, they're chucking funding at it.
Yeah, right.
So they're literally saying, we need educational psychologists. So eventually, and then I'll put it on properly, Doctor then.
Yeah. Going back to teaching, what would you say the challenges are as a teacher and how you went about overcoming them?
I think it can be very, very challenging and demanding. If you're in the wrong school, the workload is ridiculous. So I've been in schools where...
So the workload is not the same, of course, for every single school. It's different, isn't it?
No, it's different. A lot of schools are very staff friendly. So they want to ease your burden. Whereas other schools, they just want to pressure you, show their authority and kind of like
Why is that though, you reckon?
I think it's money and power. So the two things that are basically wrong in the world in general.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in powerful positions when they shouldn't be, and they think
They want to go on a power trip.
and they think they're earning more than others, and they can look down on them and bully them. Because I've been a union rep in schools as well. The amount of systematic bullying going on, it's ridiculous, and with other workplaces as well. So it is unfortunate, but then again, the flip side of that, really good schools where they're looking after the staff to the extent that you go to the staff room and the tea and the sugar, everything's in the cup already, so you're saving time. These little things, they add up. And there's toast there for staff and stuff like that. It can be a really good environment, but then it can be a really toxic environment. So I've been on both extremes. But in general, I think if your temperament is calm, you're composed, you handle pressure well, be like football, and you'll smash it basically.
Yeah.
And the main thing is your rapport with the students.
Right.
If they enjoy your lessons and they like you as a person, they look forward to your lessons. It's just that feeling. Like, I mean, I'm just saying this because the students have said this to me. I don't think I'm the best teacher personally. I've seen way better teachers than myself, but they said to me, "How is it, sir, that when we come to your room, when you come to your school, your class, your environment, it seems calm. You're very calm. You don't shout at us like every other teacher." I said, "That's just not my way. Because even religiously and morally, we shouldn't just be shouting at kids for no reason. If we give them that level of respect, they'll definitely give it back." So if they give me a decent amount of work, we'll watch David Attenborough for the last 10 minutes, and we all love David Attenborough. And it's relaxing, and it's content related as well, so not just wasting time. But it's just that atmosphere. You have to make that. You have to make that environment.
Is that something that you have to be creative about? Like you teach your own lessons, you have your own methods, and what is that the case?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you have to adapt. Certain lessons you can plan it to the T. That this lesson we're going to do this, but then something happens in the lesson. Let's say some students are having a kick off with each other, and you don't get through enough content. Then you have to adapt. You have to teach just the areas that are most important. And then the vice versa. So sometimes the students will be really well behaved, they'll smash through a lesson, and you may even get through a lesson and a half worth of content or 2 lessons. So you're constantly adapting. Every day is different. That's why I wouldn't change it.
What other methods would you say you have as a teacher for those students that struggle with science?
I think
or don't have an interest in science?
I think the practicals. The practicals are amazing. That's why I started the YouTube channel and the TikTok, really.
Right, okay.
Because it was to do with putting out positive messages out there and showing them, making them fall in love with science, basically.
Right.
Because if I couldn't imagine being a history teacher or something like that, where you're talking about 1805 and what happened, and a lot of the kids are like, well, why is that relatable to us? In essence.
Yeah.
However, it is important to learn about history, because obviously then you can understand what journey we're on. But definitely doing the practicals, making them excited, setting the fire alarm off, everyone's outside now because of you.
Oh, you set the fire alarm off, do you?
A couple of times we have, and everyone's stood out in the cold, and you hear people moaning saying, "Why we stood out in the cold?" And I'm thinking, kind of our problem. But this is why science labs are at the top of the school, because we're most likely to cause a fire.
Yeah.
So hot air rises, so you'd rather be at the top. The new schools anyway. So no, definitely. And the beauty of science experiments is you don't know what's going to happen, and they're watching and they're engaged. Like I've done practicals in an interview lesson. So part of your interview is you have to teach a lesson or teach part of a lesson.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah.
Day-to-day life and.
So it's not your average interview.
Right. When you say practical, can you give us an example? Yeah,
so for example, you get a balloon, you blow up a balloon. As soon as you do that, the kids are like, "Wow, what's going on here? Party mode."
Yeah.
So you.
What age group do you teach, by the way?
So secondary, so 11 to 18.
Okay.
Is when they get really interesting. Their character, hormones all over the place. So you rub the balloon on someone's head.
Right.
You have an empty can there, and the balloon, the can is attracted to the balloon because of the charge difference.
Right.
But they that's amazing. So after the interview, the lady, she said, "Wow, they were hooked on that. And that's a tough class to deal with generally. Now, let alone you just walk in and just take over."
Yeah.
And she was like, and it was massive credit to you for even planning a practical in an interview, because a lot of people are nervous. And I said, look, if you're confident in your abilities, you'll be absolutely fine, no matter what you go for. I've been told by a panel that I'm overconfident.
Right.
And then some of them were trying to criticize that, and the others said, look, are you kidding me? Like, people are nervous and bricking it, and it's apparent. And this guy's come in for whatever reason, he believes in himself and in his methods. We should, applaud that. But that's what I mean about there's two sides to everything, isn't there? So it's really interesting. So then you teach the lesson, then they give you a bit of feedback on it. Then you have an interview with the head teacher, your head of science, and maybe somebody else as well, HR or someone normally. And some schools even make you go do a lunch duty or do a duty to see what your rapport is with the students, how relatable you are. Are you just stood in the corner on your phone checking your emails, or are you engaged with the students? And I'm definitely, you can talk to students about football, boxing, whatever, especially football.
Yeah.
There'll always be, conflicting fans, and then it kind of builds that relationship. So, for example, today is the last day of the season. Tomorrow we're going to go back to school. They're going to be talking about different teams and where they finished and what happened. You're not just a teacher. You're kind of like their friend.
Yeah.
So they'll come to you and they'll talk to you about what happened the weekend and football. Football is an icebreaker for everyone.
Yeah. And then, Mr. Khan, for those students that do misbehave, how do you go about handling them?
There's levels of misbehaving. So times have changed. I kid you not. When I say to them, we didn't have phones when we were kids, they're like, what? What did he do? I said, we talked to people, went out, played in the street. If we didn't have a ball, we crushed a can and we kicked it about. That was our football.
Yeah.
Just adapted.
Yeah.
So anyway, so nowadays things are different. So you turn around to write the date and title down on the board. When you look back, and about 5 people are on their phones, 2 or 3 have pulled their e-cig out. There's all sorts going on, and there's a couple having a fight in the back. So there's levels.
2024.
Yeah, welcome to 2024. So basically, so it depends on school policy. So because I worked across Yorkshire.
So the school that you work in, you can vape in the classroom.
No.
I thought that's what you just said.
No.
They're vaping, they're fighting in the back.
What they do is their choice. What we allow them to do is our policy.
Okay.
So of course they're not allowed to vape. I don't know where they get these vapes from.
Yeah.
You walk past the toilets now and it smells. In a way, it's good. It doesn't smell of the feces. It smells of strawberry lemon or blue ras or something, but which indicates that they're doing something there that they shouldn't.
Right.
And so they shouldn't be doing that. My point being is behavior management and bad behavior, like you said. What is it? It's different now.
Yeah.
Nowadays we didn't have phones, so nowadays that's bad behavior. If the school is strong in its policy, like the school I'm currently at, they actually take the phones off my reception and put me in an envelope with a name on it.
Right.
So they don't have their phones in class.
Yeah.
Or they shouldn't. And that just nips out lots of issues. People nowadays are taking photos of each other, making videos, sending it viral, bullying each other online. When we were kids, and I'll keep referring to this because that's what we lived through.
Of course.
So if people had a fight, they shook hands afterwards and it was done. Nowadays they have a fight, it carries on online. So the bullying and the harassment is 24/7 essentially. And it's very difficult. It's very challenging for parents. It's very challenging for teachers, and it's challenging for them as students. Because if students have taken mugshots of each other, pictures, videos, and then they're sending it out to 500 people, or the whole school sees it, then that poor child, you don't want to come to school. He feels harassed, bullied. It's a different world. Yeah,
I can imagine.
So it's very difficult.
How do you go about dealing with the parents when you have parents' evening and you have to tell their parents that your son or your daughter?
I've got a really interesting example for this.
Yeah.
So I was at a school and I did not expect this student to come to parents' evening, because when you're not behaving and you're always getting detentions, generally they don't turn up, because why would they bring their parent to the parents' evening just for everyone to tell them that, by the way, your student's not the best? So he walks in, I thought, wow. I said, okay, let's hope he sits down in front of us. So he does, and his dad sits down there. And I'm like, look, unfortunately, I don't have any good news for you. I'm going to be brutally honest. Like, I was training to be a teacher then.
Yeah.
So this was part of my wider responsibilities, attending parents' evenings, building that rapport with the parents.
You have to be cutthroat.
Yeah, yeah.
In those situations.
But there was hardly anything good to say about him, so I would be lying if I did. So I wouldn't do that anyway,
Yeah.
even as a joke.
Yeah.
I try not to anyway. So he goes, I said, look, he's always messing around, him and this other lad. They actually ruin it for the whole class, because there's only a couple in there that are misbehaving. The rest want to get on with the work. Because the year 10 class, they're almost in their GCSEs. So his dad turned around to him and he said, look, I genuinely thought he's either going to slap him or do something. Because he went like this, like really aggressively. And I thought, okay. He said, shall I buy you an Xbox? I said, sorry, I don't think you realise he's not behaving. He's not doing the work. He's not following instructions. He said, shall I take you Blackpool? I said, have I missed something here? He said, no, if I reward him, then he listens to me. I said, okay. So if that's your way of behaviour management, then is it a wonder why he's like that? So he misbehaves, he gets away with it, and if he doesn't do it again, he gets an Xbox. So I didn't understand that at all.
I wonder what he gets when he's on his best behaviour.
Exactly. He goes to Spain on holiday or something.
Wow. Well,
Yes.
thank you for sharing that story.
But
with us.
it definitely stems from, I call it the head office. So parents,
Right.
if the head office is shut, then it's difficult to access the students, because they're rewarding him for little things, like ridiculous rewards, unrealistic. You know, some parents now are struggling with the technology, because one of the parents, I asked him, I said, what's he like at home? He was a good lad, a quiet lad, and he said, I never see him. I said, what do you mean? He said, he's always upstairs on his iPad. I said, okay, so do you reckon you need to manage that a bit? Like, is that not too much screen time for him? He said, well, you don't listen. He said, if I need something, I turn the Wi-Fi off. And then he comes running down saying, what happened? Where's the connection? And then I say, oh, can you do this odd job for me? But this is what I'm saying. So this is the challenge parents are facing at home.
Yeah.
And then obviously they come to school and we say, don't go on your phones, don't do this, don't do that. And they think, well, Dad never says that, or family never say that. They always let us go on our phones for 15 hours on a day. So it's difficult. It's a lot of barriers you need to break down now, and it's challenging, because there's one set of standards. If anything, after half term or the summer holidays, it's a thing now where we have a reset day kind of thing, just to bring them cultural values back into the kids' minds, because a lot of them don't have that at home, unfortunately. So suddenly you turn around, make them walk in a straight line, wear a blazer, have your kit ready, everything. That's discipline.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that in their general life, suddenly they go to school and all these teachers are shouting at them,
Yeah.
or trying to discipline them. They think, well, you're wrong. I'm not like this every day. So it's a massive challenge. But I think if the school's strong, if the teachers are well supported by senior leadership, and like the naughty kids are taken away when you follow the policy, then it makes your life easier, and it's actually fair for the rest of the students. So if we're busy logging and emailing and calling for help, saying this student needs to be removed, that needs to be removed, or there's a fight going on, it's not fair on those that want to learn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're actually wasting time for them. So it's definitely different.
You have to adjust yourself to each
yeah,
student
yeah.
as well, because
It's a high octane environment. It's
what
not,
works for one student might not work for another.
and it's not for the light-hearted.
Yeah.
If you're teaching, it's not for the light-hearted, because some of these lads they're huge. Some of the boys and girls, I don't know what they're feeding them, but some of them are taller than the teachers.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
I think the food is different nowadays, isn't it? It's the way it's produced.
Most of it's processed.
Yeah. You mentioned that you have like a tutoring business, so talk to us about that.
Yeah, so essentially, one of my colleagues put me in touch with the manager at Study Right in Halifax. So they're currently based in Calderdale College in Halifax. It's well known. Initially, it was in Crossley Heath School, so they moved around, but they're settled now. So we started tutoring. I was tutoring science. There are other teachers there teaching biology. English, maths, etc.
Is that alongside your full-time teaching job?
Yeah. So this is what I mean. So I wanted to teach students, and then unfortunately, when you go into certain schools, there's not much teaching going on. It's more just crowd control, behavior management, stuff like that, which is fine. But I just didn't feel I'm getting much out of it in that sense. So when I started this and I seen the students go through the levels of improvement, I think this is more focused, it's more refined. The class sizes are decent as well. So they have like 5 to 11 students, and they actually want to learn. They're there for a reason. And I remember our parents sending us to Sunday school, and it cost about £3 then. And that was interesting because I thought, Sunday school, what's the need for that?
Yeah.
But later on, you realize, the more you do that, the more you kind of improve.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's in a different setting, it's relaxed, and you're not wearing uniform, and a lot of the students they are there to learn. It is unfortunate nowadays. Like I'll say this because it did happen in our time. You always had a class clown, didn't you?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
own
Yeah,
class
yeah.
clown, didn't you? Nowadays, most of them are clowns. There's one there to learn. In terms of behaviour, certain demographics,
Yeah.
they're genuinely there just to cause disruption and hassle and this, that, the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, the supply teacher came in and we messed about so much that he just walked out. I'm like, why is that something you're proud of?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to people? But anyway, that's just the mentality thing. It's shifted. The respect of the elders and stuff like that has definitely diminished a lot. So then obviously then I started private tutoring. Somebody recommended me. And again, I thought this is very focused. We can help this individual. And recently, I found out obviously he's at university doing optometry, etc. So you've helped them along the way somewhere. So whether they become a doctor or a dentist, and if they're saying that the tuition really helped me, because otherwise I was struggling. Because you have to bear in mind it's biology, chemistry, and physics. So there's 3 sciences, and they're kind of amalgamated into one subject really. But within that, it opens so many doors. If you do well in science, you can become a teacher, you can become a doctor, pilot, dentist, you name it, pharmacist, microbiologist. There's so many, David Attenborough, you can become the next David Attenborough. There's so much there. The world is your oyster with science, as is with other disciplines and subjects. But science definitely opens so many doors. And I always say to them, have that intention of benefiting people.
Yeah.
So if you become a doctor, you can do things for money, of course you can, but it's less rewarding when you do things to help people, inspire people, and genuinely, you're compassionate about
It always
people.
comes back to you tenfold, doesn't it?
100%.
Always.
And that's the main reason. Yeah.
So with your tutoring, do you do this face to face, or is it like a remote? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so since COVID, of course, half the world went online, didn't they?
Yeah.
So one of my friends from Rochdale, he said he was doing some work with a community centre in Bradford, and he said, they're quite deprived financially. So if you could teach about 10-15 of them in one class, that way you're only giving 1 hour and you're helping lots of people. So I've kind of used that business model, and I've set up an online class, and it's via Zoom.
Can you go out and visit people in the local area, or?
I do, but there's only a couple of houses I go to because they're really strong family friends, and they've insisted. Otherwise, I'd rather not, because you can imagine 5 days teaching. Then you got the tuition centre on Saturday. Then you got your Zoom classes.
Yeah.
Asda's still there as well.
Yeah.
Just a few hours. So it can be intense, but this is what I'm saying. People say to me, how do you do it? I don't see work as work. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if I'm helping people, it doesn't feel like work. It feels
Especially when you're passionate about something,
Yeah,
it'll just come to you naturally.
If anything, it feels like worship. If you, in essence, you feel like you're helping people, you're helping your community. So that's why I don't mind working 7 days a week, which I do. But I don't feel tired out of it. I don't feel like I'm knackered. I feel like, every lesson is different. You're teaching people, you're helping them. And when they come back to you and say, look, I smashed it in my tests and stuff, and they thank you, that is the real reward, in essence. Because they're confident now. And I've taught students for many years. Like they start tutoring with you in year 7 or 8. And then when they get to year 9, 10, like one of my students, she started in year 7. And she wanted to be a heart surgeon. And I was teaching her A-level content in year 9 and 10. Because she was that bright. And the family was supporting her. And she was watching all these documentaries and programs, medical programs on TV. So you've got all the resources there if you want to use them.
Yeah.
And if you want to waste time on these online resources, you can as well. Of course, it's a massive distraction.
Yeah.
But those who are refined and focused and their family supporting them, the world's your oyster. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, what advice would you give to other teachers that are struggling or looking to leave the industry?
So no Mr. Khan this time.
Oh, no. Not this time, Kana.
Yeah.
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who. So basically, when we did the teacher training course, there was about 100 of us that joined the course. Guess how many survived till the end?
10.
About 30.
Right.
Okay, you're more negative than I thought. So yeah, about 30 survived. Okay, and of them 30, so they completed the course, but some said, "Well, I'm going to go back to my NHS job," for example.
Mm.
So they sat us in a circle, the science crew, and he asked, somebody said, "Oh, I've got a job, I've got a job." Some got a job in the first placement. Later on, we realised there's that many jobs
Yeah.
that it wasn't that big of a feature,
Right.
securing a job. But credit to him, lovely guy, Matt. Shout out to Matt. He's in Dubai. He's teaching in Dubai now.
Is it?
So I'm going to go visit him soon. And we can do the podcast from there, actually.
Yeah.
Sat on the beach somewhere.
Tax free, living the
Yeah.
life.
So essentially, actually, shout out to all my crew that did the teacher training with us. We went through thick and thin. And it was tough. It was tough. We used to go in school at like 7 a.m. and it was dark. And we'd come out and it was dark as well. So it's not easy. It's not for the light-hearted. I keep saying that. But then again, the rewards are there as well. Sorry, what was the question? Oh yeah, struggling teachers. Yeah. It said, so they sat us down. They said, "What do you want to do?" And when it came to me, I said, "Look, the second placement wasn't the best for whatever reason. So I'm not going to go into teaching full time. I'm going to do supply teaching because I want to gain more experience and I want to find a nice school, a decent school that I can settle down in." Obviously, lo and behold, supply was decent, financially rewarding.
Yeah.
No stress in that sense. 3 o'clock, you're done. You're walking out with the students. No marking, nothing. Flexible. You can take days off whenever you want. You can take 5 weeks off if you want. If you've got enough pennies in the bank. So that is what So they went to this other one of the other colleagues of ours, because she said, "I'm going to leave. I'm going back to my NHS job." And he said to her, "Don't you think you should do what Mr. Khan's thinking of doing, gain more experience and maybe finding a decent school?" She still insisted no. But that would be my advice. So gain as much experience as you can in different schools. Because some people spend years in one school just using one method,
Yeah.
whatever that school is using, and they think that's teaching. Well, it's not. I've been to many schools and you learn from each experience different things, and it makes you a more rounded individual.
Yeah.
If not, in your department there will be teachers who are more experienced. If you've got a free lesson or if you've got some time in the day, just go and observe their lesson. Just drop them an email. Say, "Look, is it okay if I come into your lesson just to brush up on my teaching skills?" There's nothing to be shy about, because essentially they'll actually appreciate that. I've had people in my classes doing that, and they've actually made me a mentor for new teachers. So I used to regularly go into their lessons and observe them, and try to give them constructive feedback on maybe if you did this, maybe if you do that, or I've done this, or I've seen other people do this, and it's just creating that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're comfortable in their learning environment, you'll get more out of them anyway. So rather than pressure, all that kind of stuff, you just relax everything, reset. And don't get me wrong, there's sometimes the students have bad days, and sometimes you have a bad day or you have a bad lesson. And you know what? It's interesting because some of the students, they'll see you and they know you, so they'll be like, "Oh, what's up with you today, sir?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, "You don't see me normal self. You seem a bit rattled." I said, "Look, I've had a class that did my head in, but it's good to know that you're feeling that compassion. Like, you've obviously built that rapport with them for them to say, 'Oh, are you okay,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah.
What's up with you today?' That kind of thing. So when you reach that level, like I said to you, work doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
You go there, you have a good time, they've learned something, you've taught them something. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants a private tutor and a good price, then reach out to Mr. Khan. I'll put his socials in the description below, so feel free to get in contact with him.
So the class that I was going to mention, the class that we do. So because there's such a demand, So I've set up a Zoom class.
Business must be booming for you then.
It's not about the business. It's about helping people.
Oh, yeah,
So I'll always go back to our core value,
Yeah.
which is inspiring the youngsters. Okay, yeah. So essentially, it's an hour and a half class. So half an hour biology, half an hour chemistry, half an hour physics. We go through a certain topic, then we do exam style questions, focus on exam technique, and you can join in Zoom. People are on there from all over the world actually.
Yeah.
We've got people we've got Leeds, York. We've got someone from Bradford, Keighley, and also Pakistan now as well.
Yeah.
So they're on there, they're learning, and obviously, I had a former student from Indonesia as well. So when you advertise things on Facebook or YouTube or podcasts or whatever, the world's your oyster really.
Yeah.
There could be somebody watching this sat in the middle of Brighton.
Yeah.
And saying, look, I'll get in contact because it'll help them essentially.
Yeah.
And whether they do well in the GCSEs and then later on do A levels and, like I said, become doctors, dentists, whatever, you've put that 5 pence in there. You've helped them on that journey, and that's the main goal. Look, GCSEs aren't the be all and end all. I know people who've done well in studies, and then later on not done so well. And I know the flip side. I know people who weren't academic, didn't do that well there, but later on have smashed it in a different way.
Yeah.
So there's everyone's on their own little journey, but if you can help them along the way, just give them that little nudge. I think that's quite beneficial.
Yeah. So if there are any other local businesses that want to come down and have a conversation, get in contact with us.
And I'll just carry on from that because obviously I knew I was coming to this podcast.
Yeah.
So I put it on the socials saying, look, if anyone wants a shout out, quite a few people did get in contact, so I'll just mention it. Ionic Farmer, good lad. Waka, our local lad. Isa as well, Vita Health Clinic, he started it up recently in Bingley as well.
Oh, nice.
Diamond Glow, Al Adakil, valeting service as well. I've used him myself, very good, very inspiring. A&R Home and Security, electricals, installing CCTV, etc. Stuff like that if people need it. Obviously Study Right, I mentioned it before, based in Halifax.
Yeah.
They do tuition from primary all the way through to A levels. So people are there from year 1, 2, 3 onwards. They're doing this, preparing for their SATs, 11 plus exams. And then obviously we have classes there on a Monday evening, mostly English and maths. And then we have science on a Saturday. Lots of primary school kids in there learning and being inspired. And finally Nick James Kitchen, Bantam's small talk in Bradford City Football Club.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be interesting. I've seen his podcast on Facebook. He does them quite regular. So I think there's definitely a collaboration there waiting to be happen.
Definitely.
And sorry, my boys on Born and Red, the Liverpool fan club. They are. I keep asking them, let's get on there. Let's not still keep it to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I know that's the ethos of the channel, but let's open it up to other fans coming in and having a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they haven't accepted that yet, but
I'm sure they will.
maybe they can come here and we can have an
definitely.
open conversation about football.
Yeah. So Mr. Khan, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I really, really do appreciate your time. And to our viewers out there as well, thank you for tuning in. And if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share amongst friends and family.
Thank you very much for having us on. It's been a pleasure. When we had this conversation initially, I knew it'd be a really good setup, and a massive shout out to Amplified Hustle on all the social media platforms, and hopefully we'll get much more content out of here. And thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.